is a powerful one. It means haven, somewhere safe, protected, somewhere where we and our loved ones can flourish. But what if the average house was toxic to your children? And what if the fixtures and fittings brought them out in hives and rashes, and the air inside left them struggling to breathe? What would you do then? You'd have to build them a home. But where do you start? What do you build?
We are clean freaks.
Vaughan Barrycore, a fitness entrepreneur, and his wife Eleanor, who owns a gallery, live in a comfortable home in London with their 3 children. But the health of their sons is a constant concern.
Avery and Pascal have multiple allergies to everything from wheat, gluten, egg.
We're allergic to nuts that are in the tree, bread, peas.
Dust, allergic to cats, the pollen levels in the air, certain cleaning products are a problem, sometimes chlorine at swimming pools.
And bagels. And books. No.
Our whole life seems to be around how you can manage the allergies and integrate them into normal everyday life.
This makes life complicated and sometimes frightening.
With our children, I know that their allergies are so severe that if they have exposure to certain things, they could go into anaphylactic shock and be really, really ill.
Pascal and Avery are in the top 5% of the children that I treat with multiple allergies. Open wide. Oh, fantastic. Their allergies can be life-threatening.
We might get ill and then we might have to go home. We might die or something. But only if we have peanuts, we might. Peanuts make us die.
So, to support their children's health, Vaughan and Eleanor intend to build a hypoallergenic home. They bought a plot of land in southwest London, in a leafy area full of parks and suburban semis. Right, oh yeah, look, big trench, big hole in the ground. Tucked away down a long drive, their quarter-acre plot cost £765,000.
This is it?
Yeah, nice. And used to be part of someone's back garden. It's all of, 50 yards to the road there, but it's completely quiet here. It was exactly the kind of location they were looking for.
Our 2 sons have severe allergies.
Right.
And we always said we would love to live near a hospital. And this plot, gosh, it must be
200 metres away?
If anything did happen, we can get them in a blink of an eye.
Making a healthy home is a key issue here for you.
Correct, yeah. When we started looking at this building, we began to understand that we could do things that could seriously improve their health. The ventilation in the house, how we can actually be filtering the air that comes in and out.
And make a haven for our kids to grow and thrive in, really.
They've owned the land for 5 months. Their original architect's design is being adapted by a team of healthy building specialists who are already on site marking out the footprint of the house.
We chose our project managers and build team for precisely this reason. This is their area of expertise, so they can advise us and help us on this journey.
And externally, how does the building present itself to the world?
A single-storey house with basement dwelling. Because this is a garden plot, there was a limit on how big the above-ground building can be.
It's going to be a very beautiful back garden shed, if anyone does think it's a shed.
We're a bit worried about it looking like a shed, but we've realised it is going to look like a shed. So
a very beautiful shed.
To deliver the space they want, Vaughan and Eleanor's healthy house will have hidden depths. They'll start by excavating 700 cubic metres to accommodate a large concrete basement. In the darkest corner, they'll put the plant room, family bathrooms and a cinema room. while in the lighter spaces, a master suite for Bourne and Eleanor and 3 bedrooms for the children will all look out onto a sunken garden. Above ground, they'll use big, pre-formed, ready-insulated timber panels or cassettes to make a single-storey building. The timber, insulation and cladding will all use low-toxin materials for a healthier home. The entire building will be skinned with an airtight membrane to satisfy Bourne and Eleanor's air quality requirements, then fitted with a mechanical ventilation system with extra filters. The spaces above ground will be light-filled and contain the main living areas, decorated with solvent-free paints and low-toxin flooring and furnishings to minimise the danger of allergic reaction. Outside, the building will be clad in large and white render with a modest grey zinc roof. Bourne and Eleanor hope this place will be a haven for their children, but there are very few precedents for hypoallergenic buildings. No one knows if it'll work. The requirement of this house in terms of your children's health is a very high spec.
Yeah.
So how much does all that cost?
It has to come in for under £500,000.
Okay. I was going to ask you where the cash comes from.
We've got some equity from our previous sale and then we've had to borrow money. We have a set budget. We can't go above our budget.
It's tight for a project with such unusual bespoke demands, and already there's an obvious problem. Bourne and Eleanor's newly formed driveway is too narrow for any lorry or digger to get down. Instead, they'll need to cross the neighbouring plot of land, which has direct access to a road. So this bit of land here is not yours?
No, we're borrowing.
How long have you had access for?
Until July.
Why have you been given such a short window?
So this plot is going to be sold imminently.
Somewhat focuses the mind, doesn't it? I mean, you've got, what, six months now to
yeah.
do it all.
Get everything on site.
It's not long.
No. If we can pull this off, we'll be incredibly pleased because we'll prove a lot of people wrong. We thought budget was going to be our biggest issue, but at the moment it's access that keeps us awake at night.
So imagine that I am a lorry. I'm either coming to collect 20 tons of earth, or I'm delivering stone, or, I don't know, wall panels. Anyway, there are going to be dozens of these lorries traversing this bit of borrowed land. Point really is here that the period that they can use this land for is really not long enough. They're trying to do this for £500,000. Sounds like quite a lot, doesn't it? But they're also demanding a very exacting specification that is all focused around the health of their children. Time, money, quality, all 3 factors on this project are critical. All 3 of them are already very stressed. Within a month, the ground workers are on site, removing 1,000 tons of earth. For the project manager, John Farmer, the main issue is managing vehicles on the precious access route.
We've got a logistical limit really on the number of lorries we can get in and out a day, purely in terms of loading and then getting more onto site. And there's a lot to get out.
Wow.
Since the clock is ticking on the access agreement, the ground workers are working flat out.
We've got such a short time limit to get everything in, which is stressful.
Unfortunately, there's a limit to how much Bourne and Eleanor can drive this project forward themselves.
Let's go! Remember,
Because they
with
both
those
work
hands,
long hours
first with
running
the
their own
pads.
companies.
Double jab, punch, and then slip.
A national fitness training business
How deep is it? 3.5 metres.
and an art gallery. So, they're depending on their management team to keep the programme on track.
Hi Dave, yeah, I just wanted a quick chat about this basement tender, if that's all right.
But finding a basement contractor for their somewhat limited budget is proving hard.
Obviously anything we can do to bring it down a bit would be appreciated, so have a look and give me a call back. Cheers, bye.
It takes 3 months and £28,000 more than they budgeted, but they eventually get a basement contractor on board.
The basement work's going to be around £200,000. I am frustrated that we're not on schedule, but I am pleased with the way the job's going at this point in terms of, the technical aspects.
10 lorry loads of concrete are needed to complete this basement, each truck traversing the borrowed land.
Getting everything onto this site is the biggest problem. We were very concerned as the weeks and the time are slipping by that we wouldn't be able to do it.
Vaughan and Eleanor's access agreement was due to expire by now. Their neighbours have been relatively flexible, but all that is about to change. Looking between your heads is a sign that says sale agreed.
Yes.
On the access land next to it.
We think we've got up to 4 weeks now before we start negotiating with the new owners.
We don't know what the new chap's going to be like, but we know that we can't get a crane down our current non-existent driveway.
Because it's too narrow.
It's too narrow. There's no way. In terms of red flags on this project, the access has always been the big one. It's been very stressful, very stressful.
It's an incontrovertible fact, isn't it? No matter how fine and noble your project is, if you can't get to the site, you can't build it. Vaughan and Eleanor's builders are now 8 months in. Their healthy house project is racing against the clock. The basement was done in record time, but access remains the biggest issue. They managed to negotiate an extension, but it's due to expire in 9 days. But just in time, today they are taking the last big delivery.
It's really exciting. I think we waited for this moment for many, many months.
The ground floor wall panels have arrived all the way from Latvia. Once these lorries are unloaded, access should no longer be a serious problem.
I think it's a massive relief to know we can finish the project now, so that's also good.
These timber cassettes are made with healthy materials, and they come with a healthy Latvian team of assemblers.
Like a flat pack, like a massive IKEA flat pack.
In principle, they fit together so precisely that they form an airtight seal, so the air quality inside the building can be controlled.
The thing about this system is that the panels that come are all ready with the membranes and the vapor block board as the airtightness layer, and that's already in place. So once the windows are in, they're taped, and that's our airtightness barrier all done.
Put the doors in, and put the front door on, and you've got an airtight building.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy. Let's hope the building is truly airtight. Pollution in London, even in its suburbs, is legendarily bad. You have chosen a part of the world which is built up, it's industrialised, it's.
But I think that's where you decide on where you're going to make your compromises in life. And we have to live in London because it's where we work. It's less built up than where we were before.
No, you've chosen, of course, historically the best side of London to be on, because the wind would blow from the west, all the smoke would blow, and that's why everybody who was poor was housed in the East End, because the air quality was really poor there. Here you've got a fighting chance, haven't you? What with Brexit looming, everything they ordered from Europe has gone up by 6%. So the Latvian panels, supplied and fitted, have set Vaughan and Eleanor back 125 grand. But the advantage of this system is speed. It would take 2 months to put this structure up in the conventional way, but after just 12 days, the roof is on.
It's all going to be the same zinc, isn't it, as we have wrapped around on the roof. It's going to be lovely.
And the windows are going in.
I can't believe that. Well, 2 and a bit weeks ago we stood here and we were outside with nothing. And here we are, and we've got a virtually watertight building. This is definitely the way to build a house.
Now, well over halfway through their project.
Come on, let's get your asthma pump done. On we go.
The family are so very keen to move into what they hope will be a properly healthy home.
Count 2, 3. We're very much at a stage with their health that we just don't know what's going to happen from day to day. So they might be perfectly all right one day, and the next day we've got asthma attacks, we've got allergic reactions happening. Good boy.
Good boy, Pascal. You're hoping in a new house you won't have to have as much asthma pump? Yeah. I think when we see the structure going up, it's more about checking the materials and making sure everything we put in the house is geared to our family's health as the main priority.
We've got 2 EpiPens, one for each in case we split up, and Pascal's asthma pump, and obviously cetirizine.
Feels like we're taking out a barrage of medicines every time we leave the house.
What we would like to see happen as a result of all of our endeavours is that, I don't know, in a year's time, the children will be taking less medications, having less asthma attacks, having less allergic reactions to things, and that will be for us be proof that something we've done has contributed towards improving their health and their lifestyle through this build.
Vaughan and Eleanor want this building to work as a haven, to provide their boys with respite from a toxin-laden world. It's harder than you might think. Welcome to my pop-up shop of very common building materials. It may surprise you to know that all of them are really quite toxic, many of them producing things called VOCs, volatile organic compounds, chemicals that off-gas, producing a charming cloud of toxicity that we, of course, can breathe in. And these chemicals are found in glues and varnishes and sticky tapes and spray foam and paint, of course. Oh, and then there's a whole range of timber products held together with formaldehyde, commonly used for pickling bodies, and the glue in carpets. Just think of that, your entire house fitted wall to wall with a layer of volatile organic compounds slowly off-gassing into your house and into your lungs. Wow. I don't think Vaughan and Eleanor are going to be shopping here. The question, of course, is how many of these common building products have they managed to avoid? So what have you got here, for example, looking around? You've got a glue lamp. This glue lamp beam will be glued together with...
But it's using an adhesive that's low VOC, so that's what we checked.
The insulation is mineral wool, isn't it?
It is, yep. No petrochemicals in
No petrochemicals in that. There's a bit of waterproof board, and that's always made with some kind of glues.
Yeah.
Because it's chipboard, isn't it?
No, that's composite wood board, which is, again, low VOC.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Good grief. So actually, everything. It's kind of almost outside in.
What we've done is the very best that we can do.
It's our duty to do what we can do within our budget.
Controlling air quality isn't just about using healthy building materials. The house has been designed to be airtight. There's only one way to test it, by trying to suck the air out.
We're going to use an enormous fan to depressurise the home. It will cause any leaks in the building fabric to be known to us.
It's a test used on high-performance homes.
If you look at the smoke moving normally, it will just kind of go straight up without any disturbance. If it's near an air leakage, you can see that the smoke is moving towards this direction, so there's an indication that there's some air leakage underneath this area here.
It's laborious work. All the leaks have to be taped, sealed or masticed before the house's overall air pressure reading can be tested again.
So it's a really good air tightness figure today, so the team will be really pleased with that result.
Of course, an airtight house means you need to introduce some controlled ventilation somewhere. So Vaughan and Eleanor have chosen a very high-performance mechanical ventilation and heat recovery system, which sucks air in from outside, pre-warms it and filters out the pollutants, hence all the pipes.
Today we're seeing these metres and metres of white piping being fixed through every single room. They are going to be what pumps the clean air through the house. So this is surprisingly exciting.
That's great. No, I love it. Yeah.
All this high-spec stuff costs money. Vaughan and Eleanor have already spent 375 grand of their £500,000 budget. But ventilation is not something they're prepared to compromise on.
It's not a cheap solution. It's more than £10,000 for the unit for this property. We can't really put a price on the difference to the health that we are hoping it will make, but if it means that the children aren't suffering, that was a sensible investment for us.
Frankly, it can't come too soon for Pascal and Avery. Their allergic reactions seem to be getting worse.
He had a massive asthma attack. I had to go to hospital and they gave him steroid tablets, and he's continuing to have these bizarre reactions.
So we've really bumped him up onto quite a high dose, and this is happening despite that. That's surprising.
He was really ill.
So much seems to ride on Vaughan and Eleanor's project. Can a building really improve their children's health? Eleanor are 9 months into their healthy
you're
home
excited about the house?
experiment.
Look at that, Avery.
Wow!
You like it?
When are we going to move in?
Soon, I hope. Very, very soon.
Sticking to the schedule is more important here than on most projects. The sooner they can move in, the sooner their kids' allergies might improve.
We're a month over where I thought we'd be at the moment, and so the urgency to move in is now by Christmas.
If they can pull that off, this house will be the best Christmas present Bourne and Eleanor's kids could hope for. It couldn't be more different from the East London council flat that Bourne spent his childhood in.
This is it, baby. This is where I grew up. When I was a smaller boy, even smaller than you.
Wait, no, there's a window broke.
Where I came from, we didn't really have much. You see it down here. It wasn't the most healthiest environment to be in. It was dusty, it was mouldy. We had plumbing problems. I remember toilets flooding all the time. It was a bad place to live. What do you think?
It looks a bit small.
It's not very big when you think about it, because there was lots of us in this house. Out here, it never used to look like this. It used to be pretty run down and pretty bad. As a father, I just feel so fortunate that I can give my kids something different. We don't know if it's going to work. We don't know if it's going to mean that they're going to live healthier or happier lives. You know, all we can do is try, and I feel so lucky to be able to do that.
The excitement and hope that Bourne feels is beginning to translate into reality. By late October, the scaffolding's already down, and there's a healthy flavour of what's to come. Oh, I like this.
Well, this is the front.
That big timber panel's quite something.
It's standard Siberian larch cladding.
And the zinc work is beautiful.
We've gone for a grey, which ties in nicely with surrounding Edwardian-style houses. But it's a lovely balance of the metal, the render, and the wood.
So part shed, part sleek, contemporary house. The identity of this place changes dramatically as you walk around it. Good heavens. From the front, it's like a little scout hut. And then you walk around the corner, and it's tripled in size. It looks like a big white iceberg. 4/5 below the surface.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the point, isn't it? It just satisfies all the planning conditions. It's low, it's modest in height. Very nice indeed. The only problem is living underground with limited natural light doesn't suggest itself as particularly healthy. That's nice. All that warm sunshine, antibacterial ultraviolet, warming infrared. I mean, we as a species have evolved to positively flourish in sunshine, in daylight. So when you build a house, it makes sense, doesn't it, to place the windows in such a way that you can drink in as much of that fantastic light as possible, as opposed to building a house so that most of it is buried in the ground. To solve the problem, Eleanor and Bourne have enlisted the help of a lighting designer, Darren Pryor.
So we're really concerned in general that it being a basement, the lack of light. Standing here today, it feels really dark.
You're completely right, yes. So we'll overcompensate that. We'll have some linear asymmetric light coming in from the side, and we'll have some accent lighting as well.
They chose Darren because he's keen to experiment with something called biodynamic lighting. What do you mean by biodynamic lighting?
Biodynamic lighting mimics natural light outside. So you imagine in the middle of the day we get blue or crystal white light and we feel more alert, and then as the sun kind of grays down, in the evening time, we kind of get low intensity, orange hues, ready for rest.
So our body clocks, which are sort of regulated by the passing of the sun, it's doing that, but it's doing it inside the building. So
of course, yes. These light sources here will actually help regulate our sleep patterns, immune systems, our behaviour. The health implications is huge.
It's costing an extra $4,000 to kit the house out with biodynamic downlights. Wow. Oh, and there's another issue with basement living, the view. This cliff of mud is spectacular in its ugliness, isn't it? Wow, it looks like it might be a model for some terrible disaster movie. What are you going to do with it?
This whole area will be patio.
Right. And then how many levels of terracing?
We've got 4, going much further out that way.
How much to transform this site of desolation into some beauty then?
Probably about £25,000 for this. this is going to be the most used outdoor area that we've got.
I love the way you justify it. Yeah. 25,000 will pay for a landscape architect, a lot of concrete and a digger. But it's half of what they have left. Yikes.
It's like you're dancing on there, mate.
As the ground workers get stuck in, a new dilemma emerges.
I love this tree. I think we really want to keep this tree. And I can see us getting closer and closer.
The danger is that if too many of the tree's roots are exposed, it might not survive.
We're not seeing any major roots yet. Say that, I just see one there. But we really want to have this tree in our lives when we're moving. It's just going to be beautiful looking up and it's birds are singing, all that kind of stuff. As long as we can keep it there, it'll be good.
Eleanor has her own fight on her hands. A labyrinthine quest to find healthy, toxin-free furnishings for the house. It is a challenge.
We've been doing our research into the various products that we've still got to put into the house. Everything from the wallpaper to the carpet to the furniture that we want to buy. It's been really difficult to understand what's inside certain products. Nothing tells you whether it is potentially going to be a poisonous item.
You wouldn't think that decorating your home would be bad for your health. But throughout history, time and again, a new look really could kill. Now, I'm thinking that by now you're as unnerved as Bourne and Eleanor are about the list of potentially toxic chemicals that are in your home. But believe me, they are as nothing compared to the hazardous substances that builders have used in the past. At Belton House in Lincolnshire, the interiors are replete with some of history's most fashionable and, in past times, most deadly materials. Materials like traditional lime plaster, which was used to fashion ornate decorative ceilings, like this one. And the thing is, lime, in its raw, liquid plastic state, it's highly caustic. It was used to dissolve bodies. And lime plaster was reinforced with animal hair, which was sometimes infected with anthrax. So look that one up. The solvents in modern paints can cause giddiness, headaches, maybe even aggravate asthma. But the pigments used in historic paints could literally kill you. So, in a grand house like this in the 17th and 18th century, you could expect to find beautiful greens and yellows on the wall, made from arsenic. You know, in the search for brilliance and colour, it wasn't just paints which were poisonous. It was also things like furnishing fabrics, lampshades, wallpapers. One chemical used involved arsenic trioxide. It was a colour called Paris green. It was immensely fashionable in the 19th century, and it was only in 1862, after 4 children in the same family died of arsenic poisoning, that people really set up and took notice. That wasn't the end of Paris green, though. It went on to be used as a rat killer. We no longer put arsenic, mercury, or lead in our home furnishings. Mercifully, our understanding of the effects of chemicals has grown. Paul and Eleanor's house is just the latest step along the evolutionary road towards a healthier, safer home. With just 1 month to go until Christmas, Paul and Eleanor's journey down that evolutionary road is gaining momentum. This may look like bog standard white paint, but it isn't. It's a remarkable solvent-free variety.
I can't smell anything. It's pretty awesome.
The floor finish upstairs is sleek, dust-free, black, polished concrete.
The chemical content and the VOCs that it emits are very low, so the children aren't going to be breathing in extra chemicals.
Just a little bit up more.
While in the bedrooms, they've opted for a carpet made from bamboo, with no solvent-based glue on the back.
How is that made out of bamboo?
Formaldehyde off gases very little, But nevertheless, Eleanor has obsessed over low formaldehyde MDF for her kitchen, as well as over her accessories.
You don't know how many hours I've spent worrying about door handles. Probably way too much to be justified compared to everything else that's going on, but anyway, that's sorted.
Eleanor and Vaughan are becoming the national experts in bronze-handled and hypoallergenic living. They take their fight to every aspect of the project, but sometimes they lose a battle.
We're going to be cutting away too much of the roots.
Okay.
Destabilises it.
Is a question tree hitting house or tree going, basically?
So it's got to go. House or tree. It's a no-brainer.
It's ironic that one of nature's air filters has been sentenced. Vaughan warns its loss as collateral damage, the price of building a new home, one which Eleanor has been curating in more and more detail. She does own an art gallery after all. What's this then?
We're going to have a mural on this wall, so we're working with this artist.
Looks like this artist might no longer be alive. I mean, it looks like it's a pre-Raphaelite painting, albeit with some weird stuff going on in the right-hand corner.
A contemporary pre-Raphaelite painting. We want there to be a real statement on this wall, and it's going to be huge. It's going to cover 2 metres square.
Do you buy into this?
Certainly, I think the more white walls we have, it's the more art we can put up and the more stories we can tell about us.
She has trained in work. There's no indication of furniture yet, just paintings. It's slightly like a gallery, this, isn't it? Dark floor, white walls, gallery lighting everywhere. You know, the whole thing has this very subdued control palette.
Ready to be dressed. I know what you can do with art. We haven't got the budget to go crazy with things, but I know that we can do some really spectacular things that will make this house come alive.
And you haven't got far to go, have you? I mean, you're nearly there, remarkably.
We're nearly there. I think we're 2 weeks off, which is about right because it's Christmas in 2 weeks.
Christmas, of course, is an important deadline for anyone. For this family, with the prospect of this home, perhaps more so. There are multiple trades on site now, working overtime and on top of each other, so they might just make it.
Feeling super tired today. We've had 7 a.m. starts and we're working right the way through. It's a hard few days.
Cheers, man.
But the real evidence that this home can make a difference to the boys' health will take months to materialise. So would you be a healthy house pioneer, like Eleanor and Vaughan? I mean, you know, they have spent so long researching materials and paints and kitchens and surfaces that will be healthy. And it will all be worthwhile, only worthwhile, if as a result of all of that, the kids' health improves. If this really is a healthy home in which they can thrive and flourish. If. It's been 17 months since Vaughan and Eleanor began their hypoallergenic house experiment in the riverside suburbs of southwest London. I have watched hundreds of people build a home. And in every case, they all share the same ambition to produce a building which is going to somehow not just change their lives, but improve the quality of their lives. But for a building to actually have a physical effect on our health, that's something else. I'm going to be so excited to see whether this building isn't just beautiful and practical and delightful, but also whether it's going to physically change the health of its occupants. The narrow driveway, which caused so much stress during construction, has now come into its own. Now it's setting up the building brilliantly. Makes it more secretive, more of a reveal. Oh yeah. The front of the house is as unassuming as ever. Simple, shed-like, and seemingly so small. A foil, one suspects, for the rest of the building. Hello, that was very, very swift.
Welcome.
Thank you very, very much. How are you?
Well, thanks. How are you?
How are you? You've been living here for how long? For 6 months. Yeah.
6 months
Yeah.
In your shed. It's kind of shed plus. I love it. It's so modest, this building. From the road, you can't really see it.
No.
And even walking down here, you think, well, it's a one-bedroom bungalow for you two.
And that's what we aim for, really, was kind of not to be too overbearing from the road, but you come down here and you get into the secret. So
All happens on the inside.
yeah,
It's our secret house. Come in,
Yes,
please
the
come
secret
in.
house.
the secret house.
This promises to be a house of surprises, and I don't have to wait long for the first of them. Oh, it's kind of very exciting to walk into a house and immediately be suspended in midair. Very lovely. This is, it's pretty powerful, isn't it?
I think anyone who comes in, they say, wow, that's amazing. There's an instant greeting and talking point.
I hope it brings you into the house. It gives you a sense of what we're trying to do with the house.
Yeah, to sort of intrigue.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you know what? This is the main action here, yeah? This is good. Wow. The open plan living space feels more generous than it is, thanks to the vaulted ceiling and the connection to the garden. You walk into here and you've got like 3 windows pulling you in different directions.
So much light.
So wherever you're stood, big draw to the outside, big pieces of glass.
It's done what we wanted, which was connect the outside and the inside.
It's lifting this roof at the front into the eaves, gives you that fantastic glimpsed view up into the trees. It's really lovely. The decorations may be elegant, feminine even, but there is a sturdy masculinity here too. A polished floor, seemingly of black stone, and heavy overhead beams. And these great visible trusses, painting them the colour they are is it's powerful.
Yeah.
It provides that kind of sombre note.
Yeah, that's one of the few structural parts of the building that you can see. I think we never even questioned if it had to be another colour, it had to be black.
Yeah, certainly did.
Shed on the outside, sheer joy and luxury on the inside, thanks to the furnishings and voluptuous artwork curated by Eleanor.
We want to amaze without overbearing. It's a brand new house, it needs character.
But how much of this characterful decor meets their exacting health standards? Is that an eco, newly made sofa?
No, far from it. Sofas has been a big struggle, brand new sofas, they off-gas for a long time.
From the foam and
and the glues that are in the wood. So we've gone for a second-hand sofa. So we know it's off-gas.
Somebody else has suffered.
Someone has done it, yeah.
Carpets are ancient rugs.
Yeah.
I mean, these are knotted, aren't they?
Yes.
And woven. They're not glued. So.
Yeah, they're definitely second-hand.
Yeah. Minimal impact. And your kitchen is all formaldehyde-free MDF. Yeah.
Sure is. I thought it was very important with the kitchen to make sure that we were researching what was in there. We have stopped just going on how something looks.
So you put these really sharp cornered handles on, right? They're really harmful to anybody's health.
So true.
As you push into the kitchen wing on the north side, the glazing increases, the light gets softer, and the colour scheme darker. This is as moody as the beams. Yeah, there's a kind of depth to the colours in this place.
We're so blessed for light in this kitchen. There was no need to go really light on the units. In the morning, for instance, it's just so warm and nice to come in and not be blinded.
Moving down into the depths of the basement, the light levels in the children's rooms are magically maintained by large glass doors and biodynamic downlights. Oh, hang on a minute, when I turn them down, they go to deep orange. It's just like the setting sun.
It's lovely. And in the evening, when you turn it down like that, it's an instant effect. It's lovely.
And you can sit and read a story to the kids.
Yeah. You see it just in their mood, especially in the evening.
Why did nobody tell us this before? Even more importantly for the children, in the darkest corner of the building, hide the lungs of the house. Into the utility room.
This is where the ventilation system lives. Let's have a look at the filters.
Put my glasses on for this.
I'm not sure you're going to need glasses to see this.
Seriously?
Whoa. Oh, there's actually a bug in it.
There's actually a bug.
Look at this, it's absolutely
It's
revolting.
absolutely disgusting.
It's actually grotesque.
Satisfying.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All this is dirt, dust, spores, mould, insects, particulates, exhaust stuff, yeah? All of which otherwise would just...
breathe in. Yeah.
This filter's catching it because this filtration system is not.
Yeah. Oh.
That is actually shocking. At the far end of the basement corridor is Bourne and Eleanor's master suite. Oh, this is your gaff at the end.
Welcome.
Nice. There's no sense of compression or being done in the basement. Bathroom?
Yeah, have a look.
Oh, yeah. Now this is like the finest hotels.
Thank you. It's very serene, isn't it?
Love it. I'm not normally jealous of people's bathrooms ever, but that is very special. The biggest surprise here, though, is the view. Once a muddy cliff of doom, now a sculpted wall of delight. That is staggeringly good. Very nice indeed.
Biggest piece of artwork in the house.
Can we get out?
We can.
Yeah. I'm jealous of this too. I'm getting a bit fed up of being envious. Oh, this is like being in the south of France.
That was the idea.
Isn't it lovely? Planting the ferns, the hostas, alchemilla. These are kind of purifying plants,
Yes, yeah. We've done a lot of research into which plants would clean the air, which ones would be good for people with asthma, which ones would not be tree pollinated.
Hey, nice. They may no longer enjoy the shade of the ash tree, but the planting, design and sanctuary of this garden all contribute to the preventive healthcare of this place. You're sat in this multi-level space here, in the embrace of the building.
Yeah.
Protected, sunken down, you can't hear the street. It's great.
We didn't know about the peace and quiet we were going to have until it all settled and everyone had gone. Suddenly you can't hear anything, can you? Like you said, it's just happy sounds.
There's a sign.
And the occasional reassuring ambulance.
Yeah. So what began as a practical, healthy home experiment has, perhaps not by accident, delivered an imaginative piece of architecture as well, embellished with colour and delight. It's easy to see how a house like this might improve the emotional well-being of its occupants. But has it delivered the physical health benefits they wanted? You said right at the beginning you wanted to make this place a safe haven for the kids.
Yeah.
Is it that?
I think we've definitely made it a safe haven for the kids.
We've been in the house for 6 months and the number of allergic reactions that the boys have had has been negligible. They've had 1 or 2 in 6 months in the property. That's unheard of.
As opposed to previously?
Oh, multiple. Every other week, minimum. For us, it's the proof. The proof is there, isn't it? It works.
But the evidence isn't just anecdotal. The University of York has lent Bourne and Eleanor a curious-looking VOC monitor to assess their indoor air quality. And the results are in. So the boys' room is dark blue.
Yep.
And then there's your lounge and the hallway in orange and grey. And the yellow is a typical new build. That's kind of shocking.
So we've been amazed by those results.
We've crushed it in terms of how our home performs against a new build. It's performing over 70% better. It's
truly remarkable. I mean, congratulations. I think any parent will want to look after their kids, but you've taken responsibility for the air that they breathe. And you wanted to spend just under £500,000? So did you do that? Have you gone over?
We went over by about 12%, so we ended up spending about 560.
Okay.
Certain things knocked our budget. So the basement knocked our budget a little bit. Everything from Europe went up by 6% because of the time that we were buying the
because
products.
Of Brexit.
Yep. And then we've had to now obviously borrow more to finish the garden. But we feel that was probably an investment that we will reap rewards for years and years to come.
Well worth it.
Yeah, in terms of quality of life, yes, huge.
This has been a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
Literally, we've rip-roared to this point today. We do feel really proud. We're coming out of a rather intense period of our lives, but the moments that we get to sit down and reflect on what we've done and just enjoy the house and see the children enjoying the house, our family time is just priceless.
Bourne and Eleanor's healthy home projects may be delivering academic results, but what do their sternest critics make of it?
I like the house because I like the chairs on it. I like my room the best. I feel very better in this house because there is nothing that we're allergic to here. I feel happy and safe. The end.
You know, just as we judge books by their covers, we also tend to judge buildings by what they look like on the outside. And this place is what? Functional, attractive. You see, its charms, they go deeper than that. The experiences it can offer are richer. And anyway, we all know that beauty is not skin deep, yeah, that it really comes from within. So just imagine what this place can now offer Bourne and Eleanor and their kids for years to come. They can thrive, they can be healthier here, they can be truly happy. What could be more beautiful than that? The tie between a farmer and the land he farms is a really powerful one. The French call it terroir, the way in which the very soil can influence the personality of what grows in it. So no wonder people who own land feel this primal tie to it. Of course, for some, that sacred bond can verge on obsession. The agricultural fields of Herefordshire tell a story that Steph Wilson knows well. Her family have owned a farm here and turned the earth for generations. But 20 years ago, when her beloved grandfather died, that family farm was sold off.
I do think about Grandad a lot. I still miss him terribly, and I've always felt that I want to make my granddad proud even though he's not here. And I have wanted Grandad's farm back. Just spent my whole life working towards that.
Today, Steph lives in the village where she grew up, with her 2 young children, Ollie and Lydia, and her husband, Alex. 8 years ago, the family remarkably remortgaged their house to buy back part of Steph's grandfather's old farm, with some outbuildings.
Since we got together, it's always been a goal for Steph to get something down there. If she could buy the whole farm back, she would do, but, you know, it's all down to money.
Steph and Alex now run a small holding on the land that turns a small profit. But for Steph, the burning ambition is to live here.
To build a house down on the farm is just what I was always going to do. I didn't quite know how I was going to do it. And it was just waiting for the right time. Now has been the right time.
How much land you got here?
27 acres. There's a little bit of land which is up onto the top.
Yeah.
A little bit behind us, and then it kind of comes round in like an arc all the way around.
So that's what, how much did that cost?
We paid about 200,000.
Yeah, well, there, you know, that's
for that.
A substantial amount of money for a site. They may own this land, but getting permission to build on it was never going to be easy. How did you get your planning permission?
We did want something really traditional, but the architect, Gary, advised us, you know, we have to do something a bit different. You need something bespoke to site, something that's, you know, architecturally designed for that site. I expected to not like it, and actually, what he's come up with is brilliant. Yeah. You know, it's got a good mix, it's different enough, but, yeah, we liked it.
Can you show me where it is?
Yep, it's just...
where are you going to put it? So they now have planning permission for a 3-bedroom house to be built in the farm's old gravel pit.
This is it.
This is the site?
Yeah, this is it.
And that stone?
That'll be to the side of the house. We want to keep it because that's a lot of memories from that stone.
What, that little rocky outcrop?
Yeah, I spent my childhood jumping off it, and now my children jump off it.
And it seems to me that this building's got to do for your children what it did for you as a child. And that's a very big ask.
It is. But it will. I won't ask for anything else. I've got my bit of farm back. I've got my house on the farm. I'm done, you know? Happy.
We'll see.
The planners, of course, needed to be equally happy, and that meant an ambitious design. Submerged into the hillside, thick concrete walls will form a part-buried ground floor with a living room, kitchen and utility room. Large windows will drink light into this space and connect the inside to the outside under an enormous cantilevered overhang, formed with 3 huge steel beams. They'll support a barn-like timber-framed first floor of bedrooms and bathrooms. The place will be traditionally clad in tiles and timber and part-wrapped with a paved patio, a deck from which to view Steph's grandfather's old farm. This is a simple, clean, but dramatic design. But steel cantilevers and earth-sheltered concrete don't come cheap. Where's the money come from?
It'll all be self-build mortgage.
All on self-build mortgage. Yeah. What are you borrowing?
250.
250 is the budget.
Have you done any costings?
We had a quantity surveyor.
Quantity surveyor.
So we thought, let's make a start at looking at
Always a
costing.
good idea, because they're accurate.
Well, hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
So we had a quantity surveyor's quote.
Basically, 495,000. So it was like, oh, come on.
You want to build this for something approaching 250, and I doubt you can.
Right.
Then you need to be thinking really cleverly.
Yeah. If the walls aren't plastered, if there's no flooring down, if there's no internal doors, and we cook off the barbecue outside, you know, that's fine, as long as we can live in there. And Gary, the architect, assures me we can get a livable shell for our budget. He's absolutely certain of that.
I'll talk to Gary.
Yeah.
The talented man who's helped this poorly funded project through planning is their architect, Gary Thomas. If they knew they only had 250, how come it's ended up as a £500,000 house?
It's essentially the landscape works. Putting in the tanking, putting in the earth ground-bearing structure, that's where the primary cost is. Yeah. But it's a huge vision they've got. So it's a long burn as a project. The question is, can it be afforded in a quick process, or will it take time to build?
Yeah. Well, what's your bet then?
I think it'll take time to build.
That's exactly what I think. This building could take 10 years then, but Steph and Alex want it finished in just 12 months. A year in which they both will continue to work. Alex is the main breadwinner, working for a wholesale food importer.
Just need to go through a couple of things about the delivery.
While Steph works part-time as a chiropractor in Hereford.
Okay, so just pop onto your back for me.
As they're borrowing every penny of their £250,000 budget, their joint incomes have been critical in securing a loan.
We've got a house much more expensive than what we asked for, and I'm not entirely sure quite how we're going to pull it off, but where there's a will, there's a way.
By mid-autumn, Steph and Alex have sold their heavily remortgaged bungalow, and they're getting ready to downsize to a caravan on site.
So kids, you've got to choose just a few toys that can fit in the caravan, and obviously not a lot can, so choose carefully. We love that card.
After paying back the bank, they're left with only £10,000, cash which is quickly spent on connecting the site to electricity, installing a sewage system, and the purchase of a luxury mobile home.
Everybody said if you're going to live in a caravan, you've got to have it double glazed. So in our infinite wisdom, we went against everybody's opinion and went for a single glazed one with gaps around the doors and holes in the floor. You know, you said it's airtight. If you actually have a look, there's a huge gap.
Steph and Alex are now debt-free, but they have no cash and they're living in a caravan.
Oh, Liddy diddy. What did you hurt?
Did you bang your head?
Head or foot?
Head.
Sorry. You're all right. We are giving up a perfectly good bungalow to live in a caravan for 12 months. But, you know, the end goal is going to be worth it.
And yet, despite their optimism, they are still struggling to reduce their projected build costs by half to meet their budget.
Look at that rainbow.
That is a huge rainbow, Liddy. Now, if we could just find a pot of gold at that end, we'd be sorted.
Steph Wilson has dreamed of living on her grandfather's farm since she was 16. But in the dream, she wasn't living in a caravan.
Guys, sit down and eat, please. Sit and eat.
The family have now been confined to this tiny space for over 6 months, and they're still struggling to bring down the project costs.
We try to simplify the building we've got. We're paying for more sets of drawings and more sets of drawings, and it's bringing the cost down by 10, 20 grand, but not by 250 grand, and that's what we need to bring it down by.
They're stuck. Steph has driven them all into a stalemate position.
Lydia! Oh, mornings with you two drive me mad.
The likelihood of building anything at all is diminishing.
Just sit down.
And they now all face an indefinite future in a caravan. Something Alex is not happy about.
I can't wait to get out. I mean, it's damp in there, it's cold in there. You've got a shower that burns you or freezes you. You've got a 4-foot bed, windows that don't shut. We had a perfectly good house.
I'd never, ever do another self-build, ever. I have felt so guilty on many occasions. I've put the whole family in this situation. You know, it's my dream to live on my granddad's old farm, and I've got to find a way to sort it out.
There's no doubt Steph and Alex need some kind of salvation. Saviours come in many guises, and just occasionally they come dressed as architects. Jessica Barker is based in London. She's an award-winning architect, and she's also one of Steph's oldest friends.
I met Stephanie the first day that I went to primary school. We've been friends ever since. It was seeing the unfolding of Stephanie's dream. I couldn't not but step in.
How you doing?
Hiya, nice to see you. Come on in.
Her work commitments meant that Jessica just couldn't help Steph earlier, but she's now agreed to draw up some new plans for Steph's site.
So what we've had to do really is just draw a line under the old design and start afresh. You know, the earth sheltering, the basement construction, the very, very large cantilever. It's just impossible on the budget. We're still going to create an amazing, inspiring place to live, but using a different arsenal of approaches.
Jessica designed and built her own house with her husband 2 years ago. It's a striking, inventive building that shares a tiny urban courtyard with a matching neighbour. And it shows what might be done on a budget. It's open and bright, and it's an inspiration for Steph's house.
What we were hoping to do is also have this big expanse of glass, this whole wall that you can just slide and fold, and then you can open out the interior space into the outside as well.
That'd be
so
amazing.
it all feels like one big space. The way that you can achieve that's to continue the floor surface from inside to outside.
So the room will just feel big all the time?
Yes, yeah. And it's a big room anyway. So,
Yeah.
Jessica's new design is a complete reinvention of the site. For a start, it'll do away with the expensive steel cantilevers and earth-sheltered concrete. Instead, the new building will now sit in a large terraced amphitheatre. The house will also be built of one material, timber. Downstairs, Jessica's laid out a simple open-plan living space with, at the rear, a utility room and a playroom for the kids. Upstairs, there'll still be 3 bedrooms with vaulted ceilings and a clever, generous diagonal balcony that retains that overhang outside the kitchen below. The cladding will be barn-like black agricultural steel, punctuated with standard-sized windows dotted along the walls. Of course, it's not the same as Gary's previous design, so they're going to have to reapply for planning, which will mean another wait.
What's up, Nolan?
By early autumn, Alex is preparing for a second long winter in the caravan and has insulated the drafty spare door.
That is why Alex isn't building a house. But it works. Did you hear that? As he always says, it works. You know, it's what he was asked to do was to insulate the door, and he's done it. It's fine on a caravan. You wouldn't want it on your house, would you? So.
By the following summer, the new design has been approved and everything is in place for this project to finally start.
We're feeling like we can almost get excited about it. We almost believe it might happen. We're that close now. Please don't let anything else go wrong.
But things do go wrong. Just as work is about to begin, Alex loses his job. And the £250,000 mortgage offer, which was to fund this project, is withdrawn.
July, everything was ready to go. The builders we had a date from them. There was nothing left to do. And then, out of the blue, our job situation changed. And that was Alex's job finished.
1 minute we were just about to start building as such, and then it all crashes around you.
For me, it was just the straw that broke the camel's back, wasn't it? I just sobbed. I don't know how I held myself together at work. I just thought, this is it now. We are done for. We can't build this. The whole thing's off. You know, we are stuffed.
Their situation is desperate. And so to keep their dream alive, Steph does the unthinkable and sells some of her grandfather's precious farm. 13 acres fetches £100,000, which should get them to a watertight shell. So how much land have you got now then?
We have got 14 acres now. We were up to 27 that we'd managed to buy back, but unfortunately we've had to sell a patch to get this build started.
What then takes you to completion?
So we're waiting to see if we could get the remainder of the money in a mortgage. We had to apply for the remainder of the mortgage just based on me. So I've now had to dramatically increase my hours. So we have had a role reversal here.
What drives projects like this, anything big, is hope. But eventually it does run out, doesn't it? I mean, there must have come a point, surely, when you began to doubt that this would ever happen.
When Alex was made redundant and the mortgage was pulled at that point, that was it. I thought it was over. I just thought, what am I putting my family through here for this obsession that is living here? When actually we could sell a lot, buy a nice house somewhere, mortgage-free, stress-free, happy days. And then afterwards I just thought, why are you even considering this? You'd be so bloody miserable if you did that.
Twice this project has been brought back from the brink. Despite being 2 years later than expected, Steph and Alex take the plunge and start work on the terraced amphitheatre.
God, it's hell of a hole, isn't it? It's a fair bit of hill they've shifted.
You could get 2 caravans on there, couldn't you?
Might actually happen, mightn't it? Well, maybe. Hopefully.
They may not have the money to finish, but for now there is just relief at being able to start. As the site is readied, 200 miles away in Hull, Steph's architect and best friend Jessica has commissioned the timber frame. 97 unique insulated timber panels are fabricated by hand from a design that has aimed to keep production as simple and inexpensive as possible.
The design of the building really packed a punch for a low budget. We've used standard timber sizes, the windows are quite small, so we don't require a lot of steel or large lintels.
It'll cost £45,000 to cut and install this highly efficient timber structure. Simplicity in design makes it both cheap and expedient. Halfway through Steph and Alex's third winter in the caravan, their site is ready to receive its timber frame.
Just looks like a big Roman amphitheatre. It's amazing.
The access to site is so narrow that the timber frame gets delivered to a local dairy farm.
Can't believe that's a whole house on a trailer. It is exciting. Trying to focus on the excitement more than the panic, but the panic is there.
The panels are then moved by tractor and trailer down the steep and winding slope to the site.
It's here!
After all the problems this house has caused, it actually starts to go up with remarkable ease.
They've all got the numbers wrote on, locations, and then just revert back to the picture. Just goes like that.
I just can't believe how quick it has gone up, to be honest. 3 hours ago, nothing.
This site is now changing by the minute. Change that Steph's mum has been waiting a long time to see.
Dear. All right, Dottie, let's go and have a look. See what they're doing. My dad would have loved this. I'm very proud that Steph keeps it in the family anyway. It's her dream and it's going to happen, isn't it?
Just 12 days since the timber panels arrived on site, Steph and Alex finally have something that looks a bit like a house. Well, thank the gods of architecture, eh? Because after all this time, all these years of waiting, of struggle, of nothing happening, this building has sort of suddenly sprung up as though it's wanted to be here all along, you know? It's willed itself into being. The ground floor is bright and open. Windows are narrow but numerous. Spare room in here, nice extra flexible space. In here is the little study there, and the utility room at the back. Look, in terms of bang for bucks, £250,000, I think it's going to be fantastic. I think this is going to be a great, exemplary, 3-bedroom family home.
Hey, Jeff.
This house may have been inspired by family,
It looks fantastic.
but its design and execution has grown out of friendship.
I remember jumping off these rocks when
All we ever used to
were
do.
kids. I know.
We've
exactly.
played and played on those rocks.
Yes, yeah.
Like my kids have too.
And now for it to be your
To be our view.
your forever
garden.
home.
I can't imagine many architects would ever get the chance to design a building in a place that they know so intimately.
It's been an honour to have the opportunity to do this with someone that I love so much and in a place that I know so well.
Did you start out by saying, oh, we'll help you out, and it's turned into something much bigger?
Yes.
Yeah, you kind of just said, do you want me to do it one day, as we were sort of talking about options, and I said, oh, yes, please, you know. And then that was it.
Anyone watching anyone that they know go through that, it was just desperate time, wasn't it?
And we're so grateful because I just feel that Jess has come and rescued us at a time when we actually knew nothing. Every time I walk through it, I just think, oh wow, you know, it's amazing. And I don't see that probably anybody else could have got that, you know, and got me and us and how we were, you know, and Jess is it's just all perfect.
Of course, there's still a long way to go with this project. They can only afford to get the place to a watertight shell, and there's no guarantee that their £150,000 mortgage will be agreed. But for the moment, Steph's faith in this project has been restored. I've always believed that architecture is a response to people, their needs, their particular desires and loves and wants. And it's about understanding how buildings can kind of fit into their context, their landscape, and even enhance their setting. So it's remarkable here, isn't it, that out of circumstance, almost luck, that Jessica, the architect, has ended up being the designer of this building for her oldest friend on the site where together they used to play as children. It's almost the best example of people and place you can imagine. Steph and Alex have squeezed family life into a caravan for almost 2.5 years now.
Yeah, it's been bloody stressful, hasn't it?
But I've never said that it's your fault that we're living in a caravan, have I?
Only about 8,000 times a day.
Steph has been working full-time in her attempt to secure the £150,000 mortgage that they need to finish.
By the end of the week, we'll know if we can continue this build or whether we have to get it to a watertight shell and do the rest as we earn it. We will be gutted if the banks say no.
The money in the bank is now dwindling. So frankly, the last thing Steph and Alex can actually afford to pay for is the cladding. Jessica wants to cover their house in these corrugated sheets. Affordable and local, produced just outside Leominster. They're not exactly what you'd expect to find on a house, but Steph and Alex are familiar with this stuff. It's used on farm buildings. Oh yes, and on mobile homes. Did you always want to use this material? Or are you just using it because it's cheap?
In the beginning, we were both absolutely dead against it. We wanted timber, but Jess worked us round, or worked me round, certainly Alex isn't quite there yet. One of the reasons we looked at it because it was much cheaper, but it's not just about the cheapness now. I do think it's going to look slick. Isn't that right, Alex?
Yes, absolutely.
So
the man literally biting his lip.
It's still very industrial, isn't it? It's still a shed.
If I were Alex, I'd bite my lip too, because using these sheets to clad the walls and the roof instead of timber and tiles could save this project £11,000. And by the end of the week, there's even more good news about money.
Yesterday we found out we've got the mortgage to finish it, so we started and now we know we can finish.
Horse.
No.
Horse.
No.
With that £150,000 mortgage agreed, Steph's dream to build and finish a house on her grandfather's farm has never been more certain.
Mum and Dad are very excited about seeing the house. Mum and Dad are not excited about seeing the house. Our bedrooms are going to be bigger. A lot bigger. And not mouldy. Yeah!
It's just happening so quick. It's still only a couple of weeks ago there were just footings there and no structure, and now in a couple of days' time the windows will be in and it'll be totally watertight.
On such an exposed site, Steph and Alex have wisely splashed out on their windows, which are thermally efficient, triple glazed, and incredibly heavy. Let's go to your left a bit, innit? Touch more.
They are thick windows, aren't they? They look warm windows.
There are even some desirable bifold doors going into the open gable end, so Steph and Alex now have an insulated, watertight shell. A shell that is about to be tested. For almost 2 weeks, the weather makes this site impossible to reach.
The last few days have probably been the worst it's been since we've been down here. We had no gas, we had no water, it was shit.
There's a saying in agriculture that you will never see a farm with a sign outside it that says, closed due to poor weather. Fundamentally what they are is places of shelter, protection from the elements. It's the great, noble objective of architecture, of buildings. And this house this house, miraculously, for very little money, ought, I hope, to provide just that when it's finished. Until this house is finished, the struggle of everyday life continues in the caravan. Oh, hello? Oh, warm. Joy, heat.
Definitely warm in here.
So do you keep that thing going all the time?
In case of having to.
And overnight? Yeah.
-6 it went to last night.
-6 last night. So that's when your gas freezes and
Your door freezes, you can't get out. Hairdryer around the door.
Yeah, it's hilarious
Wow.
in the morning, trying to escape.
It's the simple things which you take for granted. So
Yeah, and we'll really appreciate them when we get in.
even when they are in, Steph still thinks their caravan can contribute to family life.
Steph thinks she can make some money out of it. So,
Well, I'm still hoping that I can sell it for enough to buy a sofa, so we've got something to sit on. And I'd like to think somebody else can use it. Maybe they might want to upgrade the windows and, you know, do a couple of jobs to it. But
the shower, the toilet, the bedroom.
it's not been that bad.
I sense, Alex, you're not entirely in agreement.
Well, I'm just not as sentimental and ridiculous as Steph on certain things, so let it burn.
As the snows melt, work can start again. There is underfloor heating. And the cladding arrives. It is lightweight and easy to fix to the wooden battens behind.
Different, isn't it?
Although it's not to everybody's taste, by which I mean not to Alex's taste.
I'm not sure, to be honest. It's very black. But Steph loves it, so ultimately, that's all that matters.
Steph is still working every day to satisfy the mortgage company's demands, so Alex has to look after the site.
Right, just the standard drinks for the workers. This is my role, tea boy.
The inner workings of this contemporary farmhouse are now being installed.
Tea boy's here.
In just 3 months, this place has risen from an empty slab. A speed which is testament to a creative, simple design. By the end of spring, Jessica and Steph are focusing on interior finishes. Once again, they're doing things on the cheap. This looks like beautiful, patinated, worn oak. It's not, it's plastic. This looks like marble. It's not, it's plastic. Rolls-Royce finish, Morris Minor budget. Difficult for you. I imagine you enjoy putting real materials into building.
Yes. The thing is that the house has all been about balance. You know, there are some places where we've made a saving and we can spend a little bit more money on the things that you touch and feel, really.
Well, when the budget's tight, you've got to make decisions, but we've still got the look that we want, so the finish is there.
Get the look, even though it's made of plastic. Carefully guided by Jessica, Steph has been across every element of this building. Alex, on the other hand, has had very little to do with it. How much of this building have you actually constructed?
This bit.
I thought as much.
It's Steph's baby, always has been her baby. I'm just here to support, and look what I get. I get the house out of it at the end, so I'm happy.
How obsessed is Steph with it?
She's pretty focused. She tends to get what she wants. And this is all she's ever wanted. And sure enough, we're a couple of months away from it.
Why didn't you put a fourth nail in?
You think? That's it.
Yeah, put that piece in, and then you'll know that
I've
been
actually contributed.
For 2
Yeah.
bits of wood. Is there a trim going on there?
Maybe. I don't know whether...
I think we put that in the wrong place, maybe.
Right place.
The finishing touches are going into this barn-like home. This old gravel pit has been transformed. And the house that was very nearly never built is almost complete. But can it ever fulfill the aspirations that Steph holds for it? Now, every one of these Herefordshire apple trees here will be of this place. There'll be varieties that for centuries have been grown here. They'll share the same DNA with the trees from which they were grafted. And it's the same with Steph's family. Now, her grandfather would walked this lane, he'll have seen these trees when they were just little saplings. The question is, can a piece of contemporary architecture tie you to a place, root you to it, as strongly as these trees are rooted here? Steph and Alex Wilson moved into a damp, cramped caravan over 2.5 years ago. Not a dream home. But now Steph and her family are on the threshold of a whole new relationship with this place. This beautiful farmhouse is the house where Steph's grandfather lived, where he farmed this land. That room up there, the one in the middle, that's Steph's mum's bedroom. It's where she grew up. Her mum, by the way, who also built a house just up the lane here. And down there, through the trees, 200 yards away, finally, is the house that Steph built. The latest fruit from this Herefordshire earth has more promise than the harvest of previous years. That's great, isn't it? And that's really good. Very simple, mysterious black barn that's wrapped itself like a cloak around a house. Well, this place rises up majestically from the old quarry, strong and willful, rather like the people that now inhabit it. Hello.
Hi.
I'm not sure I ever thought this day would come.
No, we didn't either.
Very good to see you both. It looks beautiful. Up close, as you approach, that's large, isn't it?
Large,
that just gets more and more bright and strong.
Just a great contrast, isn't it?
It is. Oh, hang on. You like it. Do you like the black?
Took a bit of time to get used to, but with the timber, it works.
And there are trim details that just makes all the difference. The windows have some discreet and bespoke reveals. The edges of the cladding have been customised here and there. It's a world away from the other tin shed on site. So what does happen to the caravan now?
So the caravan is sold.
What?
It's sold, and it's going next week. 1,400 quid we got.
That's remarkable.
But you're already getting sentimental about it, aren't you? You're like, it'd be sad to see it go.
It's a bloody caravan.
Well, it is, but it's like Lydia's, like half her childhood's been in there.
Thinking that your daughter probably doesn't remember life anywhere else.
No, she only remembers living in the caravan.
Must know what to do with themselves now.
Oh, it's just space. They just run everywhere. And stairs, because they've never had stairs.
Come on then, let's
have a look?
Yeah, I want to savour every precious moment of this. The deck, which is
that looks lovely.
Fake wood?
Yeah. No wood staining necessarily.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Oh heavens, this is so much bigger than I remember. Inside, there's not much evidence of a house built on a budget. It's clever and it's considered. Jess she's given you 4 windows here, All of them different.
Yeah, it's really funky. Just love the different heights and the different views it gives you.
Yeah. Standard sizes, but all positioned nicely. I mean, you get the wildflower meadow there. Nice tall ceilings.
Yeah.
Everything you want, really. It's sizable, isn't it? Really big.
It is. I was a little bit concerned through the construction because it didn't feel that big, but now, you know, it just feels massive.
It does.
Yeah, and the kitchen, it's fab.
The floor is acrylic hose-down flooring.
Just sluice it down. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Non-marking.
But it's got the look that you want. It's the look of wood without the hassle of wood.
So where next?
Follow me to the hallway.
To the hallway.
To the hallway.
This modern farmhouse is a huge improvement on any caravan. There's a washing machine plumbed into a utility room rather than stuck in an outside shed. There's a spacious toilet with a lock that works. A private study. And a dramatic portcullis hallway.
So our entrance hall.
It's a little bit of architecture.
It's separate, but it still lets the light through. And actually, you look up it, so therefore you look up at the light and out of the skylight. So it does sort of draw your eyes up into the lofty ceilings.
Oh, I think it's quite miraculous.
Yeah.
What's that room there? Is that a playroom?
Sort of playroom, spare room, sofa bed.
Granny flat. This is where your mum moves in.
No, let's not be silly.
Upstairs, where you'd expect to find some conventional boxy bedrooms, the ceilings are huge. And praise be, there are no mouldy carpets. In Ollie's room, Jessica's fitted a climbing wall. And she's designed flooring, fixtures and fittings for the bathroom. It's great fun in what is, of course, otherwise always usually just a very functional room. Through the master suite, the clear star of this top floor is, however, the wonderfully finished balcony. Who wouldn't want a bedroom with a balcony like this?
Just stunning, isn't it?
This is my favourite bit of the house.
In the evening, with the sunset in the west,
That's
rocking chairs,
of
two
course,
matching,
drink in hand.
so they work well.
They're lovely, yeah.
Well, that's good. There you go. Yeah, see, the handrail sits right on the horizon, which is rather good. And yeah, all you need is a glass of wine.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And the blanket.
Yeah.
And then you could leave me here all night.
Oh,
Actually, I'd just doze off. Does this house define luxury for you in any way?
Yeah, I mean, the simple things which you take for granted, which we haven't had for a long time.
Yeah.
A shower that works, having a bath, you know, having separate toilets, and having a kitchen that works. I mean, they are the luxuries. But they're not luxuries, are they? But they are to us.
They are to us now after 3 years of not having them.
This house was born from Steph's childhood dream. And of course, it was designed by her oldest childhood friend. Sitting here now, is it odd for you two, looking at this thing, seeing the 5-year-old selves?
Yeah. We used to play on this rock all the time, didn't we? And now we've got that in front of it.
Yeah, and I think when we were actually playing here, to think that we've actually made this together, I don't think we ever would have dreamt that we would have done it.
Well, one significant part of the brief was the cost, of course. It had to hit this figure of what, 250? And did you get there?
We've gone over towards the end, but through conscious decisions, because we've saved such a lot of money from living so long in the caravan now. We could have pulled it off on 250, but we say put the glass on the balcony, which in the beginning we wouldn't have been able to afford to do. But now we've got that money, we're like, actually, we really want to do that.
Yes.
So we've probably spent all in all 270.
Yes, yeah.
Stonking good value as a result.
Well, when you look at what you've got, it looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Actually, the build programme was remarkably quick, wasn't it? It was what?
November, we started last
Blimey, there you go. Sort of that magical thing of doing it in less than a year.
And yes, we had some quite atrocious weather as well.
Yeah.
Oh, it's spectacularly good. Of course, this house isn't just Steph and Alex's. It also belongs to Ollie and Lydia. A place for them to grow and flourish. How does it take to get up the climbing wall?
How long?
Yeah.
4 hours.
What's the best thing about the house, you think?
The best thing is the view. I can spy at trees.
At one point, this project was set to destroy this family, but today they are more established and connected to this land than they have been for over 20 years. Look at you, perfect couple, happy to be in, with your bifolds. You've got everything here.
It's amazing, isn't
I mean,
it?
you have.
We have.
You've got full-on architecture at good value price.
You just walk in there and you forget everything that's happened to get to this point because you get something so great at the end of it. It's taken so much work to get here.
It hasn't been easy. There has been struggles.
Yeah.
But you know, but you soldier on.
You're a very driven
Yeah.
individual, aren't you?
I want to do something, it will happen, even if it takes a lot of time.
Is it exhausting being married to Steph?
Yeah, it is, to be fair. It's not that you're high maintenance, it's just your hard work. There's a compliment in that.
But equally, Steph, he's kind of been there supporting.
He has just really stepped up and sorted the rest of life out while I've just been on, one track to get this house done.
What do you think, Alex, Steph's grandfather would have made of this house?
Oh, he'd have loved it, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
He'd have been so proud.
Even with the black cladding?
Yeah, even with the black cladding. I think he would have been really proud of you.
How big a character in your life was your grandfather?
He was a massive part of my childhood. He taught me all the skills with the horses and the sheep and the animals, and the fact that I'm continuing it now here on his land and, farming it and doing all the things that, Grandad taught me to do. And now passing it on to the kids, the kids help with the sheep, they're riding the ponies. It's just a real sense of family. I think, he'd be so proud. I do think he's watching down and we'd be really proud.
So you're not to do it again, I'm guessing. At least if you do, it won't be for a long while.
Never.
Well, I would.
Would you?
I didn't do anything.
The very spirit of agriculture can be defined with the phrase tenacious resilience. The idea of the individual ploughing on regardless. And it's the same spirit, of course, which drives people to put buildings up like this. And this has been a very collaborative project. I mean, it could not have happened without Alex, without Jess, without Steph's mum or her grandfather, for that matter, and plenty of other people who've poured their energies into this. But it would not have happened at all without Steph's own drive, her own core belief to get this thing done. She inherited that, and she will hand it on to her own children. So I'm thoroughly expecting in 30 years' time to come back and see, just over there somewhere, a house built by them. Building a house is really stressful. It demands from you all of your energies, your time. So wouldn't it be great if you could just clone yourself, if there were two of you to drive a project forward? What do you think? Yeah, that could work, yeah. Yeah. Yes, as long as, of course, you agreed with everything I said. Yeah, or you agreed with everything I said, yeah. Yes, that's what I just said. Sheffield, South Yorkshire. A city of 500,000 people. Two of them are Nick and John Daughtry.
Morning. Morning. You all right? Yeah, not bad.
And they are identical twins.
Good boy. Good girl.
Identical twins with near identical tastes. Together they run a design company and a gallery space.
We're just so close, so alike. He's my best friend. We spend quite a lot of time together. We obviously get on really well and decided now to build houses next door to each other.
The ambition to build was instilled in these brothers from an early age. by their parents, Barbara and David.
Where was this one taken? We always used to dress them the same.
If they weren't facing you, we didn't know which one was which.
Nick and John grew up on building sites. Their parents self-built 2 houses.
The second house that we built, we bought a large static caravan and lived in there for 3 years.
Having seen what we'd done in building 2 houses, inspired them. I'm sure of it.
A childhood surrounded by construction paved the way for Nick and John to design their own homes. Nick and his wife Emma have 4 children and need more space. But for John, this project represents a whole new start.
My wife and I had split up, so when the opportunity arose and Nick found this land with Emma and said, shall we do it? It was just seemed such a perfect time and an opportunity to kind of start something new.
John may be recently separated, but his 2 children are regular visitors. And with Nick and Emma's brood, this project needs to cater for 9.
It's hugely important to our family because it's our home at the end of the day and we want it to work for us all. You know, you don't get the opportunity to build a house very often. I say bring it on.
The site for this twin venture is tucked away behind the 2 houses Nick and John are currently renting. It has a beautifully flat concrete yard, and they bought it together for £173,000.
Big site. Oh, this is a dream.
Hi there.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi. So you bought a what?
It was formerly a corn mill about 200 years ago.
200 years ago. Did you have to clear this site?
The site was cleared when we purchased it, so there was 2 industrial buildings that were put up in the 50s.
It's quite unusual, isn't it, to find a site which has been cleared back to
Yes.
the concrete, you know. Usually there's something on it, or, you know, you've got some problem with an historic building.
There is something hidden beneath here, the original water wheel, a spindle, and
Really?
a cavernous pit in which
Good
the
grief.
wheel would have run. This is the entrance. But at the
Ooh.
moment we've got water running.
Oh!
Yeah.
Yes!
The spindle does still exist down there. So what we'll probably do is, in the first period, is to expose all this area.
A spooky underground water wheel isn't the only archaeology here. They've also bought a half-acre mill pond that towers above the yard.
This site wouldn't have worked for us if it had just been simply a flat site. Everything that is added to it brings another dimension to the project for us, so yeah, it's exciting.
As kids, we used to draw plans all the time. Little plans of where we were going to live and the houses that we were going to build. They tended to be a bit they had tunnels between them and the odd bowling alley in the middle of one of them.
Well, as kids do. Yeah.
Kids do. So this is a realisation of that.
So who is who? Who is the more pragmatic? Who is the more adventurous?
He's
Who's
the adventurous, I'm the pragmatic.
Yeah.
I will pull Nick back and
Yes.
say we can't afford that.
Yeah.
What happens when you argue?
We rarely argue, and if we do, it's quick and it's fast and it's over.
Yeah.
We're back to being friends. So
That's
how
the
it's
key
always
to all
been.
this is to be friends, actually.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You looked at me a bit weird.
No, there was a
then.
pause there.
I know.
Oh, I'm sure. Silent pause. No.
Nick and John have designed these 2 houses with the help of an architectural designer. The first thing they'll do on site is uncover the water wheel. Then they'll dig a complicated set of foundations to support the living spaces, which will be raised up off the ground at pond level. There's an identical palette of materials here. Steel frames will sketch out the outlines of 2 sizable buildings. The voids will be dressed out with precast concrete slabs and blockwork walls, and then clad in sleek black corrugated steel. As John has a smaller family, his house is much more compact. He'll have concrete stairs that lead up and into a large single-spaced living area with a heavy blockwork chimney set into a glazed gable end. The 2 children's bedrooms are on the ground floor, while the master suite is tucked behind the kitchen, above which will sit John's study on a mezzanine. Nick and Emma's house is larger. On the ground floor there'll be a plant room and a snug, and 2 teenage bedrooms with 2 more bedrooms above. A staircase set in an atrium will divide all this and lead you up to the kitchen. And then up again to an open dining and living space separated by a freestanding wall. The language of both houses will be exposed, bare plywood, steel and blockwork everywhere. Nick and Emma's master bedroom will be up in their mezzanine with views out to the mill pond. So, 2 generous family homes. But while these brothers are sharing a site, they will not be sharing a bank account.
How does it work on the money side? Are you splitting the cost of the 2 projects?
Yeah, so the site's paid for, the pond's paid for, so now we're just obviously looking at the actual build costs.
How much is it going to cost?
We're anticipating to try and get it in at around about £850 per square metre, which is very cheap.
Dead cheap.
So a build of mine would be about 150, and I think yours is
195,000.
That is dead cheap.
Yeah. Obviously, what we have is one site, but we have 2 buildings going up at the same time, so we can buy one, get one free.
So how are you doing that? Have you got all your suppliers and contractors lined up then for that?
Nearly.
No.
Really? No. But soon. Almost.
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking to some builders who are very keen.
Yeah.
We can all talk to builders.
We're good bargainers in Yorkshire, you know, Kevin.
Yeah, exactly.
So there are some really interesting aspects to this project, not least of which, of course, is the fact that Nick and John both drive the same cars, have the same dogs, sit opposite each other at work and do the same job in their business, that they're going to be building houses from the same DNA, but I suspect they're going to be like them, actually rather different. But the most interesting fact of all, really, about this project, I think, is the fact that they're trying to do all of this for £850 a square metre, which, if you don't speak that language, means an incredibly, unrealistically low sum. And I don't know how they're going to do that.
Nick and John have given themselves 10 months to finish, but finding contractors willing to work with their measly £345,000 budget is proving trickier than they thought. Weeks turn to months, and the site remains dormant. By the following autumn, nearly a year after my first visit, the only work going on is to the mill pond wall.
We're kind of 10 months behind, it feels. We've kept doing stuff and that's kind of kept us moving, but actually physically the build itself hasn't even started, and you kind of lose confidence along the way and obviously as a result lose people.
We know we'll get there. It's just we have a finite budget, and you know, as much as people keep telling us that we need to perhaps put more in, you know, that is the budget. We have to hit that, and we will hit it.
Nick and John's stubborn attitude to budget has put some real pressure on both this project and that unbreakable bond between brothers.
Me and John did have a bit of a falling out. There was a point where the build might not happen. We fall out once every 40 years, and it just happened to be at the point of where we're going to build a house next door to each other.
He's not on his own, and we have to remember that he's with somebody, but I guess, yeah, I am on my own, and some months ago I wasn't in a particularly great place, and I did for a moment doubt whether the project was right for me. Thought that perhaps bowing out was the right thing to do, but it wouldn't have been, and it wasn't, so we continue.
After a year of to and fro struggle, this project has a long way to go to prove that 2 heads are truly better than 1.
The interesting thing about any project is that it requires an enormous amount of human energy, you know? The trick these guys face is in really keeping a lid on that energy so that it isn't dissipated. Because the hard bit is yet to come. The hard bit is the building. That's when it really takes it out of you. And that's yet to start.
Nick and John are still intent on building their twin homes for just £345,000. a ridiculously small sum. But finally, after 14 months of planning, these brothers are tentatively pushing forward with the groundworks.
Well, you've done a bit of digging.
We've done a little digging. It's been a long, drawn-out affair.
What's that? What's that huge hole for?
That's water feature.
Have a look in the hole. Oh, my word.
It's pretty big.
Very long way down. That's 30 feet.
This is a serious piece of industrial heritage that's going to have to drain all the surface water from the site through a small ancient drainage channel, a culvert.
We always knew this was here.
Yeah.
We didn't know its extent. We plan really to leave it as it is.
Yeah.
And simply put balustrading around. But the culvert itself has obviously thrown up its own issues, not being able to know where it actually meanders as it goes across the site.
The wheel pit sits directly under John's house, so his foundations have had to be redesigned to make sure the pit doesn't collapse. It's an extra cost the boys have shared and has meant yet another delay.
It seems to me the delays and problems you've had sort of seem to split into two. One is all of the problems to do with the site, its history, the archaeology, yeah?
Yes.
And the other is the pair of you driving a design where you're determined to get it at better value.
Yeah, I think
more the latter.
I think the problem we have is that people are kind of reluctant to look at the project when there isn't a great deal of profit to be made in it.
Do you still reckon you can do it?
Where the end date will be, we're not sure, but we're definitely going to do it. Definitely.
But a month later, it's all action. The boys have asked the bank for more money. They've dug trenches and they're pouring concrete.
It's a good moment to see the concrete going in. It's a really exciting moment.
I suppose there's no going back now.
Yeah.
To protect the water wheel and the underground culvert, these complicated groundworks are costing a whopping £36,000.
We couldn't cause any vibration or damage to the water wheel, so what we've had to do is mitigate against that by drilling down 6 metres, so any load from the new building doesn't impose any load onto the water wheel.
The boys still don't know if they can afford to finish these houses, but they are at least being more realistic when it comes to money.
Initially, I believe we were looking at about £850 per square metre. It was possibly a bit hopeful on our part.
We're around about just shy of 1,100, maybe a little less per square metre at the moment.
It just means an increase in both our mortgages that we will need to finish the project with. It just means we're drawing down the maximum that we can.
Yeah.
The new budget represents a 25% increase and gives Nick £240,000 and John £190,000. Still not a huge amount for two ambitious, stilted homes, and they're not using the cheapest of materials either.
Nick and John are building their houses around steel frames, and they're doing it in the right place, in the crucible of 19th century steelmaking here in Sheffield.
Sheffield is synonymous with steel. The city changed the way steel was made. Every modern skyline on the planet owes a small part of itself to the furnaces that once burnt here.
This is where it started for engineering and steel. We can't let the name Sheffield disappear from quality engineering. It's an industry that has to survive, and the only way we'll do it is with projects like this. These have just been fabricated. These are now at a stage ready for welding. You've got nearly 5.5 tonnes just here now. This is 20% of the steel. I'm guessing now you can start to appreciate the size of the structure.
What's good for us in both houses is that all that goes on show as well.
The steel fabricators are a local family business and have really bought into Nick and John's project. They're giving them an amazing deal.
So the steel cost for both houses runs to around about 42,000, which compares to where we were when we were costing this at the beginning. We were getting quotes from around about 100,000. So yeah, it's been great.
1 month after the foundations are finished, the steel skeletons start to rise up from the concrete footings. In just 12 days, the full scale of Nick and John's ambition becomes clear.
Now then, from over here, well, the two buildings you can see are quite brutal, very powerful. They are going to be covered in black, corrugated, grab you by the balls Sheffield steel. They're going to look quite big. They are twice as large as I thought they would be.
Due to the scale of this job and the tiny budget, it takes 3 months to find a blockwork contractor. The blocks are an important exposed internal finish, and they're costing Nick and John £10,000 more than they wanted to spend. If the work isn't finished within a tight 10-week schedule, it could easily cost much more. Once again, this project's budget is looking woefully small.
At the moment, we still don't know how much this is going to cost us.
Money is more of a concern.
Well, money was always a concern because we'd set ourselves this target of doing it at a budget price.
But we've gone beyond that budget price. If there are any big upsets or any little upsets, that's going to impact. That's stuff we have to kind of find, and we've found everything we could find.
By autumn, the bills for this project are mounting. 2 huge timber roofs have been installed. But with all the internal walls still to finish, the blockwork schedule is in danger of running over. To help speed things up, the boys are now on site after work, shifting each one of the 10,000 blocks that these buildings will consume by hand.
Nick, I'm waiting. We don't seem to talk much when we're doing this. Words aren't needed. Actions are what's needed. Puts them down gentler when it's his house. It gets a bit slack when it's mine.
However, it's not long before the extra effort and money that Nick and John have dedicated to this project starts to produce results.
It's quite hard to see this place, what for all the trees and the railings and the scaffolding. But no, look there. Ah, how magnificent they look. Big. There must be in this building something like 120 tons of concrete and masonry and structure all above my head. And of course it's being supported on this. Look how elegant and thin that steel is. It is the power of steel, literally.
But the buildings aren't the only things that are changing. John has changed his plans to include his new girlfriend, Ali. Having dated for a year, he has at last popped the question and asked her if she wants to help build a house.
So you're moving in?
Yes.
Yeah, weird. How many kids have you got?
2.
6 of us.
Have you got enough bedrooms? No.
Not at the moment, but the plan is to do a bit of a cut and paste on top of the existing 2 bedrooms.
That'll work.
Yeah.
But you've got to go in for planning, presumably. For
Yeah,
that.
we're going to be submitting hopefully today.
Who pays for that, Ali? Do you
contributing.
Are you making a contribution? Because his budget's been so tight, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not normal. I mean, just getting into a relationship and suddenly finding yourself being involved in a building project, I have to say, is crazy, crazy stressful, and not the kind of thing most people would embrace.
This is John's dream, and he's been there since the pencil hit the paper. But it's also going to be my home.
What are you going to bring? I mean, I don't know how you like to see your home furnished, or.
My taste is quite modern, contemporary. But this is very modern.
So, John's big house is now getting bigger. The extension will cost an extra £40,000. But fortunately, the next-door neighbours embrace the new addition.
You two are the constant factor in this project, aren't you?
Yeah.
You were together right at the beginning, you're still here, it's going to be your home. John's fortunes have kind of dipped and dived a bit. I mean, there was a point at which you discussed whether you might not do this project together. And now with Ali's on the scene, I mean, does that alter the thing materially?
John is far more happier, a happy John, makes a happy Nick, makes a happy me. So,
That's how it works.
Strange enough, it does work like that.
But happiness is often fleeting. Before Christmas, it becomes clear the blockwork will not be finished on time or on budget. What's more, John has discovered problems with his walls.
We've got a wall that's partially going that way as we're coming up, and then when we reach about 8 courses, the wall starts going that way. Structurally, it's not a problem, but aesthetically it is. This wall's going to have to come down.
Nick and John have now spent 11 months building their large twin family homes. The finances have been under pressure from day one, what with the ancient water wheel and the unrealistic budget. Now they realise they have to rebuild some of their walls.
We'd almost done with the bricks, hadn't we? It's a little soul destroying. It is. We're left looking at more money, more time, more hassle, so yeah.
There's now a new blockwork team on site, not building walls but taking them down.
It's not nice, is it? Somebody's paid for this once, now having to pay for it again, so it doesn't feel good to have to redo work.
We can't afford for anything else to go wrong. No, we can't. We can't. No, definitely not. No. Definitely not. I don't think they're. Don't say that. Don't say that. Yeah, okay. No. Well, I won't say it. No, we can't afford for anything to go wrong. Everything's got to go right from now on. Yeah.
Within the month, work begins on John's colossal blockwork chimney. But with so much work outstanding, it's become clear that even the revised budget of £430,000 will still not be enough to finish.
We did a big cost analysis on the whole project, and I think discovering that even beyond the bricks, there was also other overspends and materials not being the cost that they said they were going to be. So at that point we needed to kind of go back to the bank and say, you said we had got all the money we could borrow. Can you shake the tin a little harder and see if there's anything else?
Nick and John have asked for an extra £70,000 each. If they don't get it, these houses are doomed to fail. They're now paying 2 mortgages and paying rent on 2 houses. The slipping schedule is also making life expensive.
In terms of your building programme, how far behind are you now?
Oh, crikey. 3 to 4 months behind.
God, that's quite a big chunk.
At the beginning, we were very optimistic and very... we thought we'd done enough research, to be honest. We'd been on the internet, we'd read the books, we were told what to do. But I don't think anything prepared us for, the level of detail. Yeah, it was just, we were a little naive and a little green.
Who gets most wound up?
John. Probably me. Yeah. I'm the kite and he's the anchor. He's anchoring that kite down. Did you say anchor? Yeah, anchor.
Yeah, he said anchor.
Yeah.
A year since the groundworks began, the blockwork is finally complete. Of course, there are still no guarantees that the bank will come through with the extra money Nick and John need so very badly.
Where did we go wrong? I thought we had hold of it. Still trying to work that one out. And it wasn't an impossible challenge. I mean, straight walls was pretty... I think that was on the list. Yeah. I think when we get on site, and the sun's coming through, it makes it feel worthwhile. We keep saying that, though. I know, we've said that every time we're on site. When the sun comes out, we feel all right. One day it's not going to come out. Yeah.
And by the end of the month, the boys don't even have the sun to cheer them up.
Today, the main windows are going in, both properties. The schools are closed, the roads closed. Everyone got here this morning, so it's going ahead as planned at home.
The glazing is costing £70,000, and it'll take 1 week to install, a job made all the trickier by the freezing snowstorm.
And we're going to pick up this stillage, send it over the top of the house, onto some boards that are already over there. And then we've got to bring the crane forward to take another piece of glass into the bedroom window.
Right. Sounds easy.
It's not. Not in this weather.
The glass that'll face the mill pond has to be craned 50 feet through a snow-filled winter sky.
When the glass gets over on the other side, there's a case of 4 of them having to manhandle them, and if one slips, then the whole lot of them go. It's definitely getting worse.
Wind's picking up as well.
Steady as she goes down. Get some weight on the board so the board's don't slip. Put yourself on there, Matt. It's slippery.
To me a bit.
Yeah.
Right, back there, mate. Yeah, we're in. Yeah, I'm in.
Despite the weather, remarkably, by the end of the week, these 2 massive buildings are watertight. Now the rooms are enclosed, the site is graced with a visit by 2 experienced self-builders, Nick and John's mum and dad, Barbara and David.
This build is much bigger than anything we've done, and I think they've had a bit more stress than we had.
I don't know. It does seem a lot more stressful this time, doesn't
It's
it?
much bigger. That's the point. It's so much bigger than we ever did. Yeah.
At least by early spring, the pressures of this project are alleviated a little because the bank has agreed to extend Nick and John's mortgages. But this really is their last chance. If they run out of money again, they'll have nowhere to go.
It is a tight budget, and to try and complete the job within that budget is very difficult, especially a job of this scale.
The black corrugated steel cladding is now on site. At only £6 a metre, this is some of the cheapest cladding you can buy. But precision cutting corrugated steel on site is awkward and it's labour intensive.
It might look cheap, but labour-wise, it's hard work.
While John anxiously waits for planning to come through for his extension, Nick's house is racing ahead. The plywood ceiling is being fitted, a key internal design component.
You get it right, you're in. Right, well that's square here. It's going to be a brick effect, so we're going to have a full sheet, and then your next sheet's going to be halfway on. But these screws are just going to finish flush with the ply, and that's part of the detail. And they're also talking of having a shadow gap between the sheets, so time-consuming. Never done this sort of detail before, but never again.
As with the steel frame, the inspiration for their plywood ceilings has a strong local pedigree.
This is the cafe at the David Mellor factory, not far from Sheffield. Everything in this room, including the traffic light, was designed by the great British designer, David Mellor. And it's here that Nick and John used to come to talk about their project. They used to make a trip here quite regularly to enjoy the design atmosphere of this place and soak it up and be inspired.
Upstairs, that inspiration is even more evident. Here, David Mellor made a family home, using a similar palette of materials to those chosen by Nick and John.
These buildings were a direct inspiration for Nick and John. In fact, very specifically, the ceilings were a direct inspiration for them. You can see in the use of steel and timber together exactly where their design has come from.
But 13 months since work began, it's very hard to see on the outside any of the design cues from the David Mellor cafe.
Blimey, look at that. What a horrible, big, cream and grey lump that building is, eh? Now, anybody driving up this hill, walking up here, will think, what a monstrosity. How ugly. Without realising there's another house behind it, which they can't see because it's black. It's disappeared. They won't even register it. That's the magic of this cladding, that both of these houses are going to disappear. They're going to evaporate. Black magic. Voodoo architecture.
And on the inside, there's plenty of David Mellor inspiration, though it's all far from finished.
So, staircase in. Lovely.
Staircase is in.
So up and up and up.
Kitchen.
Living room.
Yeah.
Lots more blocks.
What?
Guess how many blocks are in here?
What, in your chimney?
Yeah.
100.
800.
What?
800 blocks.
Gee, it's massive.
Yeah. I think it's about 15 tons.
15-ton fireplace.
Yeah.
John may have his chimney, but Nick's house is far more advanced. He has a ceiling.
The steel will be painted black. So,
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's going to be painted
Not grey,
black.
not grey.
No, it's going to be painted black.
Is you doing yours black as well?
I was debating whether to do it black or a kind of block colour. I think I'll be doing it black.
I'm just looking for points of separation here, some kind of variation in interest. But no, it's all going to be black. You must be niggled that yours isn't as advanced.
I'm niggled, absolutely, and I do have to remind myself that it changes so quickly. So yes, I am niggled that we're not as far ahead. I do know that we'll get there.
I came first as well, so
Within the month, John finally gets his planning permission for the extension, which goes up in just a few weeks. Nick and John are also deeply engaged on the detailed fit-out, finessing, among other things, their bespoke lighting, manufactured to their own designs.
we could actually chamfer it off or something as well. So this could then become a detail. I think that's too big then. You know, it's effectively going to be something like that. Yeah, pretty much. Basically, hands are over the top of each other, sketching over each other's things and stuff. So it's very much a joint sort of design process.
The boys have also designed their own kitchens.
They've both been built in the same factory, same guys, same material.
It's the colours that's going to make it different and sort of stand out and be different.
Yeah. Mine will be dark grey and yours will be black.
Yeah, big difference.
Over the summer, money starts to run out again. And Nick and John are once more forced to labour on site to get the houses finished.
He never lets me go on it. Not once. It's kind of been like that since we were kids. Just hogs everything.
They're digging trenches for their heating system.
It's just selfishness.
And grinding the concrete for their micro-screed finished floor. Could it be that the shared 3-year journey of this project is inching its way to conclusion? South Yorkshire has a proud history of making things, an ethos for creativity and hard work. And thanks to that Yorkshire grit, the 2 latest additions to that rich northern tapestry are now complete.
From the old and dirty to the shiny and new.
It's almost 3 years since I first met Nick and John, and their Sheffield spirit has now produced 2 proud industrial statements.
Well, look at that. Hello. The welcoming party.
Hi there, how you doing?
Posse. Coming up the hill, it looks like one building. Even here, it stood, you can't see the division. It's almost as though it kind of simply wraps its way around the site. They, 2 buildings, yeah?
Yep.
Are you happy?
Delighted.
Are you?
Yeah, very happy.
Are you happy?
Oh, God, absolutely. Thrilled.
I mean, they're absolutely of the same DNA, same material. They could be the same house, just twisted round cleverly to look slightly different.
Yeah.
And what about the water wheel? Because there's a pile of stone over there.
It is a work in progress. We've got to dress around the top and finish it off and put, obviously, balustrading up. We've got to get the builder's crisp packets out at the bottom.
So, well, where should we go first, then? I don't normally have this choice. OK, it's a 14A?
Yes, 14A.
Yeah? So, see you later. Yeah?
See you later. Get the kettle on.
These buildings have only just been finished. I've only known them covered in scaffolding and builders. So entering John's house, I really have no idea what to expect.
Ooh, it's very posh. Wow! It's like walking into a very, very luxurious power station. Fabulous.
Here we're looking to about 9 metres.
This is as grand a celebration of engineering as any Victorian pump house. The fair-faced blocks are as crisp as any dressed stonework, and the exposed copper proclaims the functionality of the building.
This is all Sheffield steel, is it? Or Sheffield made, anyway.
Yeah.
Big concrete stairs. It really does draw you up.
Yeah.
That is absolutely epic, isn't it?
Yeah.
The floor is exquisitely done.
Absolutely love it. So pleased with how it's come out.
To one side of the main building, and now, thanks to the extension on 2 floors, are the 4 children's bedrooms. Some are full height, lined in plywood sheets. Since they were built partly for Ali's children, I'm just wondering whether John's interiors are to her taste.
Does this place feel unfinished to you?
Having a home with such raw materials was quite an eye-opener for me. John could see things already in his mind, like the steel staircase, and I was, pardon, what do you mean we're not covering it? When it was put in, I was blown away, just falling in love with it. And I think everybody's got the ability to change.
You can take the girl out of Sheffield. You can't take Sheffield out of the girl. That's why you love the steel.
Yes.
The steel stairs lead to a large mezzanine that'll become a study and chill-out area for the kids. Below it, there's an intelligent and modern galley kitchen, and behind that, John and Ali's master suite, a touch of luxury among the blockwork that reveals a surprisingly good view across the valley. Although, it has to be said, there's only one view that this house truly revels in and savours.
It's interesting, isn't it? You come up here and it is just that other world out there invites you.
Yeah.
And they both go, look! See, inside pours out and the outside pours in. It's remarkable, really. You go from that kind of industrial front end of the building to this, which is bucolic, beautiful.
John and Ali's house compellingly draws you up and out in one sweep of energy. But how does it compare to the house next door? Well, for a start, Nick and Emma's home is a bit bigger, announced by the generous staircase and hallway.
Oh, yeah, this is lovely. Very different to next door. It's looking very smart. And that tree, framed, it's like a moving picture there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It draws you up.
As in John's house, the 4 children's bedrooms and 2 bathrooms are set over 2 floors, but here they're larger and retain their concrete walls. The stairs divide these rooms from the main living space behind a wall of latticed steelwork.
Gosh! And this whole kitchen's almost like a sort of a viewing box straight towards the water. That's very beautiful.
Both kitchens have ceramic-coated stainless steel worktops and similar precision-cut cabinets. But of course, there is one very noticeable difference here.
It's a lot bigger than their kitchen next door, about 5 times as big.
This is definitely the heart of the house for us, and yeah, it's a beautiful space.
This house is a bit more ambiguous. Views are screened and contained. The building teases you up and up through it.
That's really lovely. Everything's oriented that way.
To actually live here and wake up and see that every morning, such a privilege.
Yeah.
A total pleasure.
I like the way that is just kitchen ceiling. It's also your sitting room wall.
Yeah, it's just hanging there.
Inside this suspended plywood box is the master suite, Nick and Emma's soft sanctuary, safe and secluded.
This house is playing more tricks with you. Yeah. It's more mysterious.
Yeah. We've got a slightly shallower apex on this roof by about 3 degrees.
Does that make a difference?
It just brings that centre down.
Do you reckon it does?
And I think
You just don't get the cathedral kind of feeling that you do in John.
Three degrees, it's like that. And this, which is, I mean, this is willful, because I can't imagine John would ever deliberately place this kind of thing.
Not.
On the
And a few people thought we were a little bit crazy putting that in the middle, didn't they?
Yeah.
They did, yeah.
But again, it's another example of creating a bit of mystery.
I think it's one of my favourite things. I think it
Is
really
it?
does.
I think it's very successful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, it does, yeah. It really does contain this space, doesn't it? It gives you some division, makes a room.
Superficially, these houses look the same, but the architecture works very differently. And the more time you spend in them, the more different in character they seem.
This is an expression of not just the guys, not just Nick, but both of you.
Yep, absolutely. Like, there's no way that he could have done this if I didn't like it.
So you've got what you want.
I usually do.
Do you?
This is architecture that connects. By regenerating an old industrial yard, Nick and John have jointly fabricated an urban oasis for themselves, and for their families too. From now on, both households will be learning to share the excitement of living here and the beauty of this place.
This is the first time we've seen it.
Is
from
it?
here?
From here, for a while. Does it look fantastic?
Oh, my word.
That's beautiful. There was a point, John, wasn't there, when you were going to step away from this? I mean, I have to say, I think the site would look magnificent with just one house there.
Well, I'm not taking it down. No, I would have been a fool to step away from it, really. He wouldn't cope without me.
I couldn't have done it without him.
So in terms of your programme, well, you blew your original target, didn't you?
Yes.
And money, dare I ask?
I remember stood over there. What did you say? You said £850 a square metre.
I don't know who those people were.
I don't know.
And how much did it cost to build the two houses?
About £610,000.
£1,000
Yeah.
between the two, which is still pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it works out then maybe at around 14 to 1,600 quid a square metre.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is still very good value.
Yeah.
Even if you haven't got any wallpaper or plaster.
No. Can't afford that.
You got some cracking buildings there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I love them.
We did it.
It's great.
Nick and John began this journey from the same place. They share the same tastes. They like the same materials. And in the end, both places cost the same amount to build. But now these two homes are finished, wherein lies the true difference?
So, what's the likely outcome here? Well, of course, they were never going to build identical houses. Partly because, of course, they have different partners, different family circumstances, but mainly because they're different people. You know, our architecture reflects who we are, not just our tastes. It embodies our lives, and through inhabiting and populating buildings, we make them ours. We make them autobiographical. No, I mean, these houses represent a very, very clear idea, don't they? That no two human beings are the same. So what are you building?
Brutal concrete
bunker.
Why? I still believe that it is a good concept.
They're saying it's stuck in the pump, the concrete.
Do you feel as though you're pushing water uphill?
I do, but that is the challenge that we've taken on.
Oh, cock, it's there.
There you go. It is new stuff, and you are a guinea pig.
But it's an oversight, it happens, but it won't happen again. Just when it was all going so well.